Welcome to the One Fall WrestleCast.
Hello. How are we doing today, Mr. Tom?
I'm good. I'm old Tom.
Old Tom.
We're running a little light this week.
We are running a little late. Derek's running a little bit late today, so Tom and I are just going to go ahead and get going on it. And hopefully Derek will join us. And if not, I don't know what we're going to do here, pal.
We're going to carry the show because that's what we do.
That's right. You know, we were talking a little bit before we decided to hit the old record button. It's WrestleMania week, pal. We got to, a couple weeks out, man. We gotta set the tone. I don't have time for no shenanigans.
No time.
Time
to talk about the WrestleManias
of the Mania of wrestling.
Not to be confused with the Scorpions Deathlock. Little Letterkenny humor for Yins. I think the pizza just showed up.
Oh, you ordered pizza, pal?
Rachel did.
Oh, nice.
Rach, you got that? I got. Nope, she got it. All right, good.
Dope pizza. What's up, dude? Anywho, I mean, we're going to talk about some good stuff today here. Overall, pretty good week of WWE television. I didn't get a chance to watch AEW this week, Tom. How about you?
I didn't watch any of it either. I usually rely on Derek for that.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Okay. Yeah, so pretty good week on WWE television this week. I enjoyed all three shows. I thought SmackDown was phenomenal. Raw was good. I really enjoyed Raw, and I know that you had a somewhat similar take. NXT was very good as well. I'm really, really into this Finn Balor and Karrion Kross thing. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. That promo that Finn Balor cut, whoo, boy, thing was nice.
That Finn's on the run of his career right now. I feel like he's making us believe he's putting on killer matches. Not that that's any different than what he would have done otherwise, but he's really, really just doing the work. He's putting the work in. He's doing the promos. He's being the champ, and he's carrying the brand, which is something I have always known was a thing that Finn Balor could do, and is not. It's just guy's phenomenal. Clearly is phenomenal, and he's been phenomenal for this entire run. I'm really glad he is the champ. Somebody had said to me, actually, so my buddy who works at the beer store, cheers, said to me, I hope Karrion Kross takes it from Balor on this next NXT pay-per-view. And I'm like, no, I kind of don't feel that way. I sort of feel like Karrion Kross has like a cross to bear, and sort of has to try to slay the demon, and I don't think he's going to do it. I think the right call is to not put it back on Karrion Kross and to sort of let it be a good match, and have Balor pull the best match out of Karrion Kross that he possibly can. But I think the money is in Balor versus Adam Cole.
Yes,
I think that's where that is, and I don't know who wins that feud. And maybe Karrion Kross comes back and takes it off whomever wins that. But I think the real money is Balor versus Cole. And I do think that Adam Cole needs to settle up with Kyle O'Reilly first. And they need to put all of this Undisputed Era to bed. Although I did love the Undisputed Era, so yes. RIP to that. But maybe it's time. I think maybe it was time.
Yeah.
But I do think that, I think Balor needs to go over Karrion Kross here. And then I think that the money match, the match of the year, around SummerSlam or whatever is Adam Cole versus Finn Balor. And I think
that is if one of those two guys doesn't get called up after WrestleMania.
I thought about that too. And maybe that's what's going on with Adam Cole. And I think if both of them go back up after WrestleMania, I mean, let's face it, the main event title picture is nice, as good as it is. It could use Finn Balor again. I think it could use Balor. I think it could use, I think it could use Adam Cole, truth be told. But if they're going to pull Adam Cole up and have him fuddle around in the mid card, I don't want to see that.
Not at all.
I want to see Adam Cole. If Adam Cole goes up, I want him to straight up get in Roman Reigns' face and beat him. Like, and just have people like, what the hell just happened? And then like, have him have a 3 or 4 month title reign. It doesn't have to be super long or anything, but just, let it go. Things they used to do, things they did with Balor, things they did with Kevin Owens, stuff like that. That's what I need to see from Adam Cole. And if they're not going to do that, it's not worth pulling him out of NXT because I think he's too valuable to that brand. But, we'll see what it is. I did enjoy NXT this week. It was very, very good. I'm actually even though they just sort of threw it out there this week, Walter versus Ciampa is going to be epic.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an awful lot of fun, man.
That's going to be
I think that's the match that we didn't know that we needed as wrestling fans, and I really am looking forward to that one. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'll tell you what I want to watch is I want to watch Ciampa versus Walter. I think I kind of want that to go to a draw or something. I just want it to be a good match, or maybe Walter can win. That'd be fine. But what I want to see at some point is Balor versus Cole, and then Ciampa versus Cole. Like those, I feel like I'm being deprived of that. And if somebody, I don't need to see Balor versus Ciampa necessarily.
No, but I mean, it would be fun though.
I thought I wanted that, but that was now that I'm like, that's like maybe 4th down on the list. So I'm really thinking that's kind of what I want to see. And, we'll see where it shakes out. And I'm sure I'll be content with whatever happens. I'm just, putting out a wish list. But speaking of a wish list, what about the Hall of Fame?
The Hall of Fame's kind of cracking me up this year a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you, pal. Like you want to sit here and you want to talk about jumping the shark, week after week with the Alexa Bliss and the Fiend thing. I feel like we're straight jumping a shark with this Hall of Fame. You're gonna put the Great Khali in there.
I like the Great Khali. I think that's a good ad.
He didn't have a Hall of Fame career, bud. Come on.
He was a champion.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I guess so was Jinder Mahal. Speaking of him, what happened to Jinder Mahal?
He got hurt again.
Is he dead?
Nah. He just got hurt again.
Did he hurt? How? He wasn't on TV.
Well, they did that kickoff thing for that new India show for WWE India, and he got hurt in that match because he's supposed to be the face of that whole WWE India franchise. And there was even talks when
he's
all
Canadian,
that was.
Though.
Yeah, but he's of Indian descent. It's the same thing.
I'm saying he's Canadian.
It's love, man. It's all love.
It's like if they put me in the face of the WWE Italy. Like I'm American. I'm not.
it's love. That's all that is.
All right, that's fine.
Don't forget you got Mansoor over there too, pal. So that's all.
Yeah, Mansoor.
So they're doing something.
Saudi Arabia.
He is Saudi Arabian. Yeah, that's right.
India.
They got a whole thing going on over there though with WWE India, and it just kind of fell apart because
all that whole East Asia thing, and nobody can see anybody because COVID.
Oh, COVID. But yeah, the Hall of Fame. I mean, I'm pumped for Kane. I think that's awesome.
I think I was when they announced Kane. I'm like, Kane's not already in the Hall of Fame. Kane is like if you put. I mean, I don't know if he's necessarily like a Mount Rushmore of wrestlers, but like if you put like a top 20. Like WWE superstars of all time. There's way more than 20 people in WWE Hall of Fame. You put like a top 20 of like WWE wrestlers of the last 60 years. I mean, Kane's like number 10 or 11. Like he is a top dude. Like, and he is totally a top guy. Tons of WrestleManias, more Royal Rumbles than any human ever. Actually met the guy. Okay, fun story about Kane. He might have been the first. He's the first wrestler I ever met. My dad took me to a Kane signing here in Pittsburgh when I was it would have been 1998. So what was like 14, 13, something like that.
13 or 14.
So okay, so we're out there. I'm there in my like WWE shirt. I had I had the Attitude. It was WWF, the WWF shirt. I had my Attitude Era shirt on. And like I bought the Kane, I have it somewhere. It's probably still at my dad's house. So I bought the picture, and so I walk in, And, we're all standing in line. We're talking about it. We're talking about, WWF and what's going on and all that stuff. And then, they say, all right, Kane's coming out. And they open these doors. To this day, the biggest human I've ever seen in my life ducks under the, ducked. Dude was taller than, the doors at the Holiday Inn. Because, he wore those platforms at the time, too, because he was 7 feet tall.
Yes.
So has to duck to get under the door at the Holiday Inn. Dude, in 1998, he was jacked too. He was just shredded. So huge, the biggest human I've ever seen in my life at 14 walks through doors, and we get everybody shut up. You know what you're like, what it's like when you're in a room full of people that are talking.
Yeah.
And it immediately goes quiet. It was like. He had the OG Kane mask on with the little slit. And, oh, my God. He just walked in. He was signing Kane. That's all. He didn't talk. He kept kayfabe the whole time. I feel like that, to me, is part of, what makes me a wrestling fan is that just I remember that so vividly of, him just walking in with that long curly hair and, just huge. And the dude, he just signed and he handed it to me. And thank you very much. It was one of the coolest things. It was to this day one of the coolest things ever. And I've met I've met tons of other wrestlers. I've met Ric Flair, and I've met Shane Douglas multiple times because he's always at these Comic-Cons and things. And I've sat and talked to Virgil. I've sat and talked to Shane Douglas and just, shot the breeze with him. But to meet Kane in 1998 was just man, was that a spectacle. That was one of those things was oh my God. And to this day, I know who the man is. I know he's the mayor of Knoxville. I've seen interviews with Glenn Jacobs and he can talk and all that other stuff. But at the time, Kane was this silent monster that just didn't talk. And it was holy crap, is he going to kill somebody? And to me, that's right.
Because you don't know any better.
You don't. And it's not like I was 8. I was 14.
But still at that point, man, you were still all in on it. That you didn't know. Even at 13 and 14, I think that a lot of what was being put in front of us in the Attitude Era was believable as shit. And you didn't know. And speaking of not knowing, I don't know if you noticed, sir, but look who decided to join us.
I'm so happy you're here. I've been talking about how I met Kane for 5 minutes.
That's what I hear.
Hoping you would show up.
Good stuff.
He's a lovely person.
My lighting is quite terrible, but we're just gonna have to roll with it because I didn't have time to check it before I got in.
Your audio is quite terrible.
Is it?
It's fine. You're a ghost.
Oh, let me fix that for you.
There we go.
It's a bad night. This is not starting off good.
Hey, pal. So we knew you. We knew you were coming, and Tom and I both have some extracurriculars planned here, so we had to kind of get rolling, bud. So,
all good.
We,
I had
we apologize.
Father of the Year moment I had to take care of there. All good.
We're happy for you, though, bud. We're happy to have you. So we're here. We saved the Tom. I gave Tom something, popped him up, and then he just kind of went off, and I've just been sitting here going.
I saw that for a couple minutes. Yeah.
So Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so we're talking about the Hall of Fame right now.
Where are we at on that?
Well, we just talked about Kane, obviously.
Kane.
Talked about the Great Khali. Obviously, we touched on Bischoff last week, but the one that was announced today.
Oh yeah,
was Mr. Monday Night. Rob Van Dam. Gentlemen, does Rob Van Dam deserve to be in the WWE Hall of Fame? Derek, what do you think?
I don't see why not. I mean, he deserves to be in. If there was an ECW Hall of Fame, he'd be in there. If there was a dope smoking Hall of Fame, he'd be in there. He's a multi-talented man.
He is already in the.
Is there one?
I'm pretty sure he was High Times Man of the Year once.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
that he's a huge advocate for the extracurriculars there. But
listen,
no, man, he's an awesome performer. He's had a great, what, I don't know, 15, 20 years he went.
Longer than that.
Yeah, I mean,
he's an Impact right now. He's like,
Yeah.
what? He's got to be at least on 20, 25 years.
well, if he's
The guy
going to
never
the WWE Hall of Fame, he's not with Impact anymore, bud.
I mean, he was with Impact at least last year. I don't know if he still is.
But hey, man, I think Rob Van Dam had an awesome career. You know, you take it all the way back to ECW. You know, he won the WWE Championship at one point in time. You know, and there's not a dude that was more exciting to watch in the Attitude Era. I mean, you know, you had your staples, you had your Rock and your Austin, who were out there keeping the crowds entertained. But for, you know, tit for tat in ring action, Rob Van Dam was the man. There's no doubt about that.
When he would throw the chair and somebody would catch it, and then he would spin kick the chair.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is still, to this day, one of those things that's like the best wrestling gimmick thing. Like, even as a kid, I knew that probably didn't hurt, but man, was the timing, that was so cool. That's one of those things,
good.
like, you can tell that, like, they don't do that anymore. Nobody does that, because Rob Van Dam is the only person that did it so well that it was so freaking believable. Like, there's certain things that, like, Rob Van Dam did, because for a guy like Rob Van Dam's not a little man. Like, he's short for like a 90s wrestler a little bit, but he's still probably 6'1". And like, the dude was jacked, especially in the 90s. The dude was big, and like
he was built athletically.
Yeah,
you know,
super mobile guy.
Yeah, I mean, he looked fantastic. He was fantastic. Everything he did was good. It was clean. I thought that his matches were always fun to watch. I don't know that he was like match of the year candidate. He was sort of the start of, I feel like there's a lot of people that copied him, and now I'm sort of tainted in my mind about Rob Van Dam, not necessarily the man himself, but like his style of matches, because they were very spot oriented for like Rob spots. Like, you know, he would throw the chair and do the spin kick, and that was a thing that you saw pretty often from him. And you know, the frog splash and all the high fly stuff, and then like those are spots you have to set up. And like, but at the time he was the only one doing that, and when he did it, it looked believable because he pulled it off. It was just chef's kiss, right? But you know, now it's just like everybody's trying to be RVD, and it's like there's so much like nobody is RVD, right?
Well, though, Tom, could you imagine him in his prime at this point in time in the wrestling business? Now that would be, I mean, because everything, you know, is a spot fest anymore. So, I mean, if you brought in his ingenuity and his athleticism in the 90s to now,
I mean, we'd be
seeing some matches.
That's a great point, pal.
He would be the tippy toppy guy though, too. And he would be, and not to say that he wasn't. I mean, oh God, he was ECW champion multiple times for a long time. He held that for a long time. Like,
well, he was the ECW TV champion, the longest reigning one ever, and that was like when all that shit was going on with Taz and all, you know, with the ECW championship. And I mean, he was the flag bearer for that company for a long time.
Those guys are all legends, and Rhino too. Man, Rhino, how good was Rhino in ECW?
He was on the cover of the video game, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty certain of it.
That video game was terrible, but yes, he was. that was easily the worst wrestling video game of the 90s. But yes,
I don't know.
It was like a bootleg copy of like the WWE Attitude game that was also not very good. It was a sub that, but no, it was man, RVD. Yeah, RVD and Kane. Like, I feel like those two sort of headlining the. That's fantastic. Plus the guys from last year, where they got the NWO, you got Eric Bischoff, you got who else?
I know Molly Holly was on this.
Oh yeah, Molly Holly. I love
Holly.
Molly Holly.
Yeah, I'm happy for Molly Holly on that one.
Molly Holly. God, Molly Holly's amazing. Easily like the best pure wrestler
of that era for the women's division.
Like, she would have been at this point, like she'd be the Charlotte of right now. Truth be told, she was great. She got matches out of models that like shouldn't have been nearly as good as they were.
That was a great way to put it. That should be on a T-shirt right there.
She got like she does not get nearly enough credit. She was phenomenal, and good on her. She was a pioneer and somebody who should be put on a really, really high pedestal because she was tremendous. And I loved the Molly Holly. I loved the Holly family. God, that was so good. I loved all that. Every bit of that was good. Who else we got? Who was last year's inductees?
Well, it was supposed to be Batista was supposed to be in the 2020 class, but they pulled him because they want to do Batista in front of a full crowd.
He had a scheduling conflict,
and he had a scheduling conflict, but they're playing it off that they wanted to do Batista in front of a full crowd. So
yeah, that's fine.
However you slice it, we got one more coming for the 2021 Hall of Fame class.
Oh, yeah, we still do.
We got 1 week left, so we're gonna see one more. Plus, the little the Warrior Award and all that shit hasn't been announced yet either. So,
guys, could you imagine having the clout to be invited into the WWE Hall of Fame and then be like, you know what, guys, I've got a dinner with the family that night, so if you could just push me off to next year or
next year, I mean, Batista though was like a multiple-time world heavyweight champion. Clearly, the guy's been, lots of big box office successful movies. I mean, I don't think John Cena's in the Hall of Fame yet, is he?
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's not quite John Cena, but he's almost he's like 80% that. So, he's one of those guys that put it on his shoulders and just ran with it.
So for me, I think that next year, 2022, needs to just be The Undertaker. Like, that's just it. Him. Nobody else. Just The Undertaker. Just go in by yourself, bud.
Is he there? Did they put them in as the Brothers of Darkness yet? I feel like that. No? Really? No. God, fun.
Nope.
Well, I mean, I guess they'll do that after.
Neither one of them's in there. I got to imagine maybe Taker's going to do Kane's induction speech, right?
I think that's the case, right?
I would assume. I mean,
honestly, I wanted him to have I feel like there's probably better people to do it, but yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul Bearer is no longer with us, correct?
Yeah, correct. No, he's dead. He's passed away.
Okay, so I mean, the Hall of Fame's shaping out this year, guys. I'm not mad at what we got going on with it. I could do without the whole Great Khali thing. I think that's just a sham, but that's another story for another day.
I think it's okay. It's not the worst thing.
Wait, he's getting in this year?
Yeah.
Is that what's up?
Yeah.
Yes. Look, I would put the Great Khali in 5 times before I put Donald Trump in once, and they put Donald Trump in. So you know what?
Yeah.
The Great Khali.
It's just everybody gets in there.
The man is huge. Everybody except Christian, apparently.
Spirit Squad's going to get in there eventually.
They probably not Alberto Del Rio.
Now that we got the whole team here, the whole squad, let's talk about what we really came here to talk about today.
The cock.
Let's talk about the WWE Network transitioning to the Peacock streaming service.
Oof.
Wow.
Big time oof.
Got a lot of wrestling fans up in arms this week, and I told you guys in the group message whenever we had this conversation initially that we were going to talk about this, that I was not really sure how I was going to approach this, but let's just go ahead and let's just hop into it and let's start talking and let's see where it goes. So Peacock has somebody watching all 17,000 hours of content that is on the WWE Network. That is
one guy.
I'm sure it's more than one guy.
One guy by himself.
Watching all of this content that's going to migrate from the WWE Network.
His eyes perched open.
I can't do it anymore.
Man.
Like one flew over the cuckoo's nest. Or no, what's the Kubrick movie? Anyway.
So and there's 2 segments that have been rumored to be deleted.
Oh yeah, those are confirmed for sure. Gone.
Let's talk about WrestleMania 6 and the Roddy Piper blackface gimmick in the feud with Bad News Brown. And also Vince McMahon dropping an N-bomb in a backstage promo with John Cena.
At John Cena with Booker T standing there. I don't think anybody's going to miss those segments personally. I don't think that was Roddy Piper's greatest match ever. So I don't know that dropping those two particular segments are the worst thing. Can I go first? Can I rant on this?
Yeah, go out. Yeah,
I feel like
Yeah,
you guys
'cause-
are going to feel
yeah.
stronger about it than I am.
Mm.
So let me get my neutral position out of the way. So, as far as those two segments are concerned, I mean, I'm not going to miss them. I've seen them multiple times. As far as other old stuff that may or may not be edited, I've probably seen it too. I'm not one to go back and relive risque moments, particularly. I mean, I might go back and see some of the greatest matches, rewatch like Flair versus the Flair I watched last year, the Flair versus Macho Man stuff, and stuff like that is stuff that interests me and stuff that I would go back to. But I feel like WWE particularly tried to really do this like sort of risque, like cutting edge type of like, oh my god, we're so edgy stuff, and at some point it pushed the envelope, whether it was with race or whether it was with sex or with violence or whatever. My understanding is that they're going back and kind of cutting out things that are particularly racist, and those two things in particular. Other things that come to mind particularly are the DX segment where they showed up in blackface, which was not, looking back on it, and I rewatched it while we shared it. It's on YouTube. Wasn't the most PC thing. I understand why maybe NBC wouldn't want that on their streaming service if they do decide to cut it out. Now, that being said, I think all of this is part of a bigger problem and a bigger issue with everything, and that is the death of physical media. So, I mean, obviously, you can't have 17,000 hours of physical media. I mean, maybe you can. I mean, it's digital. We could have it all on like a big, 1 terabyte thumbstick. But at the same time, like the death of physical media is really what's kind of driving this. So it's sort of a level of like, for example, for the longest time, I'm going to drag video games into this. Activision, who is one of the biggest gaming companies, they do Call of Duty, they had the Spider-Man license, right? For 20 years, 25 years maybe. They had it for a long time. Some of those Spider-Man games are legendary, and Spider-Man's a legendary character, period. However, Activision no longer holds the license for the Spider-Man video game franchise. That being said, you cannot purchase digitally any Activision Spider-Man game. There's like 30 of them. None of them are for sale digitally. All of that, unless you have a physical copy, that is lost to history forever. It'll never come back. This is part of that. This, how do we preserve things? The cloud is great. Being able to stream things is great. It's amazing. However, there's a level of preservation that we lose and we give up ultimately for this convenience. Yes, I don't have to have a wall of CDs and DVDs and VHS tapes and just stacks and stacks and rows of all of my favorite things anymore, because the majority of it I can find in a digital format, streaming through my internet, which I pay a lot every month for, just onto my TV, onto my computer, onto whatever I'm watching. But the problem is that leaves me and us in the state that we're in, whereas somebody else has a say over what I'm allowed to watch, because I don't own it. I have no ownership of it. I pay for their service, and whatever their service provides to me is what I have the ability to watch, which means if they decide that DX and blackface is not something they want to have on their channel, I can't go back and watch that. Now, I don't want to go back and watch that. I watched it live. I watched it as a child, but that's part of that whole storyline, and it was funny. It was cool. It was neat at the time. I understand why they wouldn't want that out there, but that's one of those things that, like, there'll be more and more and more of that as time goes on, and they at some point have to start cutting things. WWE puts on 5 hours of television every week, every single week. That's, hold on, let's do math real quick. What's 5 times 52? It's 260 hours a year, let's say, plus 50 hours of pay-per-view, 40 hours pay-per-view. So that's 300 hours a year, every year-ish, of just new content. At some point, you got to start making cuts if you're going to have that all in a streaming platform, because some of it's just not going to get watched. And on top of that, they've got things like Mid-South, they've got things like ECW, they've got things like old WCW, which a lot of is terrible. It's a level of just like, where do you draw the line? And I feel like with Peacock, particularly, when I saw this coming with Peacock, that was sort of one of the things I was like, they're probably not just going to let this go forever, indefinitely, with infinite amounts of content. And, 17,000 hours is a lot of hours of content. At some point we'll be up at like 25,000, 30,000, 40,000 hours. Who is anybody really watching all of that? Is anybody watching most of that? Do you want to cut the stuff that, particularly maybe the WWE is not that proud of? I don't know. I feel like if there were things that were near and dear to you at this point, if you wanted that preserved, and you should now understand that's not going to be preserved. And if it's something that you're going to want to revisit for whatever reason, if it's even the slightest bit risque, it's something that you need to have a physical hold on and own physically, rather than just assume it's going to be available to you. And I think that's really where we're starting to get with this. And I think gamers understand that from that perspective that I was bringing up about the Spider-Man stuff, is that, licenses expire all the time. And this is nothing to do with race or risque or anything like that. It's just they don't have the license anymore. Therefore, they don't have the license to distribute the game. And you can't play it because they can't distribute it. If you have a physical copy, you can play it, but that's it. And this is going to become a bigger and bigger problem as we move forward. And we sort of need to decide what's important and what's not, and what's worth preserving and what's not. So I think that's where we are with this. But go ahead, guys.
Derek, what you
All
got,
right.
bud?
So let me start off by
let me just say that, Tom, you do make some valid points, and I know that, I feel like we say that week in and week out. Derek, I mean, he's always got good points, but at the same point in time, go ahead.
So whenever we first started talking about this, I know I had a pretty strong reaction to it at first. And the problem with this particular subject, considering we're three white guys who were all born in West Virginia, or at least, lived part of our lives in West Virginia.
Yeah, I was there. I was born there.
It, can kind of come across as like, oh, well, what do these assholes know? They don't know anything. Of course, they're going to take one side or the other. But let me tell you a little story about 2020. The year that everyone sat home and had way too much time on their hands and found every little bullshit thing to freaking nitpick. And here we are. Finally, cancel culture has turned its wonderful gaze onto wrestling.
Pause. Cancel culture is not real. Unpause.
Cancel culture is totally real. Cancel culture is Twitter in a nutshell. I
mean,
it's
Twitter's
insanity.
Hey, and speaking of Twitter, make sure you follow us at @1_fall WC.
Twitter's the butthole of the internet.
For sakes, visit us at @1_.
Twitter is the unwiped butthole.
But boys, this is just where does it stop? I get that it's not politically correct, and it's not tasteful, obviously, in this day and age. It wasn't tasteful at that point either. And it's racist.
It's racist, yeah.
It is racist. Absolutely it is. All right.
Yeah.
So are we going to cancel, let's see here, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, any of the stand-up from back then, Dave Chappelle?
Is that not funny? Streaming? Is any of that streaming? I mean, I think that's
on Netflix.
That's the crux.
Yes,
I mean, Dave Chappelle streaming.
Yeah, so they've got some Richard Pryor on Netflix too.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah.
And Eddie Murphy's old.
I feel like Netflix is better at preservation. I know that NBC particularly is I feel like a lot of the problem is with NBC particularly. Like you can watch Disney, like, okay, so we watched Peter Pan on Disney. It has a little disclaimer in the beginning, but that's worse than any of the things they took off the WWE Network. Like by far, it's like, oh god, oh it's so bad. Yeah, Peter Pan's real bad. But
Is it?
Rewatch it.
I haven't watched it since I was a kid. I have no idea.
Rewatch the stuff with the Indians. What makes the red man red? You'll watch it and you'll be like, what? He said what? What?
I feel ya.
It's
So-
real.
Basically, here's where I'm coming down to this at, because I don't want to come across as an asshole, and I probably already have. So it is what it is. But it's funny, or it's entertaining, or it is what it is. Like, I don't give a shit. Those guys can sit there and make all kinds of white jokes all night. I'll laugh at the shit because it's funny. It doesn't we're all humans. We're all here to make fun of each other and do whatever. It's whatever. Stop getting so butthurt over little stuff. I mean, I don't know. Maybe
So
I don't
I
have a
agree.
right to have that opinion since, I guess I'm part of the problem in that sense, but I just put a
So-
disclaimer up there and let it ride.
So I might agree with you if it sticks to just the worst of the worst. Like if they're just like, nah, they're in blackface, we can't do that. Or if it's just like, nah, he dropped an N-word, we can't do that.
I
like
could see definitely or could
the
we have
very
blurted it
egregious-
out? Like, could we have just done that?
Maybe, I mean, yeah, I guess like if you want to bleep it out, that's fine too. I feel like maybe the most egregious stuff, blackface, use the N-word, stuff like that is probably a no-go. Anything less than that, I feel like is kind of something that's, for the most part, wrestling too is very. I don't think that we're going to see too terribly much else cut out. I mean, I do think it's worthwhile to like, on NBC's standpoint, to like look through it, I guess, for their perspective, because they haven't watched it. They don't know what's on there. They can't just put 17,000 hours of television up there and be like, oh yeah, this is on our platform now. I get it. I don't want to be the guy watching 17,000 hours of it, because a lot of that's not good. Like a lot of that's like really bad WCW or like ECW that's not very good, and a lot of crap like that. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what gets cut out. I mean, I don't know what's necessarily like. I guess we'll see where it shakes out. If it's like just the most egregious stuff, like the two things we just brought up, like I feel like blackface and the N-word are two things that are very much no-goes with NBC, and if they stick to that, that's like, in my perspective, understandable. But if it goes further, I don't know. I feel like if it goes a lot further than that, I mean, maybe blur out nudity. But other than that, I feel like,
I mean, if that's all it is, then I can literally only think of one other scene, and that would have been the DX thing where Sean Waltman's in blackface as well, because he's trying to be Mark Henry.
Road Dogg and Billy Gunn are in blackface.
Oh,
Road
are they?
Dogg- yeah, Road Dogg. I just watched it the other day. Road Dogg's D'Lo.
Yeah.
Road Dogg's actually worse than Sean Waltman, because he's actually
H-
the worst part of the whole
Triple
thing.
H just looked like he had a bad spray tan.
Yeah. Triple H
Yeah,
is
because he's the Rock. Yeah.
yeah. But no, Road Dogg is actually the worst part of the whole thing, and then Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn is also pretty bad. Like the whole little segment's not great. If you rewatch
I could definitely
it,
see that getting cut out.
yeah, that could be cut. I feel like that if they cut another segment, it's going to be that one.
Interesting tidbit. I actually checked the Attitude Era DVD Volume 1 that came out, and there's maybe Volume 2, maybe even 3. That is actually included on that DVD set. So
I'm sure it is.
at
It's
the
like
time
look,
it was released, they thought that highly of it to actually include it on there.
I mean, it was highly rated. Clearly, I mean, that was probably a show that 10 million people watched.
Mhm.
I mean, and if you take that, in context, that was during a time when those two factions were at each other's throats, and watching it as a 16, 17-year-old, whatever it was, whenever that happened, I didn't see it the way that folks see it today, and to me it was just group of guys making fun of another group of guys, and then to me it didn't mean anything, but now, let me just go into what I want to say. I am of the belief that there is 1,000,000% tons of social injustice in this country. Okay. But I am also of the belief that there's certain aspects of our culture today that is just, everybody is just so goddamn offended by everything.
Well, I think
And
there's a distinction. Not to cut you off, and I'm sorry.
no, you're fine.
I think there's a distinction too to point out that there's people that can be offended for a living, and there's people that are actually hurt by actions. So, and I think that line gets blurred. And I think the people that want to be offensive like to take the people who are offended for a living and put them up on a pedestal and be like, see, this guy doesn't actually dislike this. He's just offended for clicks and tweets and whatever. But then there's like people that are actually marginalized, actually affected negatively by racism on a daily basis. That's not us. So from my perspective, it's like, I feel like you need to sort of walk a line where there's just like, yeah, you cut the most egregious stuff, obviously, when it's like, we're going to push this well over the cliff. It's like, that was meant for live TV in the moment. That wasn't meant to be a recorded historical, point in time that you could go back and rewatch over and over and over and over and over again. And I feel like that's kind of what we lose in this whole everything available at a button click. So anyway, sorry, Walt. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good, pal. I mean, you're driving towards where I was going, but like I said, there's 100% social injustice in this country and in this world, and it's a sad thing that in 2021 that we still have to deal with some of this nonsense that we have to deal with. At the same point in time, like you said, that these couple that have been deleted are egregious. They're over the top. They have no place in today's society. I will agree with that. However, from the quote unquote historical standpoint of the business, Roddy Piper was one of the biggest names in the history of the wrestling business. And for him to have gone through this point in time in his life, and the story behind that is that he had to, half of his body painted black, and they spilled the pigment resolution stuff on the floor, and he had to stay that way for a few weeks. So he traveled that way for a couple of weeks.
I did, yes.
So like, that's not that's not good. It's not good at all. It's not like you can turn that off and say, hey, this was just a script that somebody handed me. You're stuck that way, and it's unfortunate. It was unfortunate for him during that time, I'm sure. And I know that Derek had talked about maybe going back and watching the reaction, from Piper and Bad News Brown about that segment. Derek, did you end up getting to do that, or?
I did not. No.
Okay. And that's neither here nor there. I'm good with these two things being removed because they are single-handedly the types of things that have set us back as a society throughout the years. The fact that as we continue to grow as human beings and individuals and, a country and a community, these are the types of things that create divide, this negative tone and this negative, presentation of things like this. You're never going to see anything like that in today's society, in today's WWE. It's just, we live in a quote unquote PC culture, and it's okay. It's not okay. Like, I'm the first one to tell you, I speak my mind where it's due, and I have no issues doing that. But, when I have young black men coming to me that work for me, and they're like, hey man, I just don't know. I don't know what to do about this. And I don't know what to do about, I don't have answers for you. And I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to try to pretend that I have answers to some of these problems that you're having, because I don't have those issues. And I'm glad that you feel confident enough in me that you're willing to confide in me about these things. And I'm going to do my best to help you work through this stuff, but I don't understand. I don't. And if, getting rid of a couple of things like this is what is going to help, help the world heal and move forward with some of this stuff, then okay, I'm fine with it. But my biggest problem lies with the fact that, is this where it stops?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because, there's a lot of people, a lot of performers today on Twitter and on Instagram, they're talking about this, and I'm going to use Brian Pillman Jr. as an example, because he had tweeted out, once this story broke and went public about Peacock editing all the stuff, he said, my dad's legacy is going to be gone. Everything that my dad did, some of the most entertaining stuff and some of the stuff that he was the most proud of in his entire career is going to be gone, because it's not going to meet the standards and practices of 2021. And, what does that mean for my dad's career? And then you get guys like Tommy Dreamer, who he was joking about it, but he's absolutely right. ECW during its heyday and its prime, it is not viewer friendly.
Not good.
What I'm saying?
Everything Joey Styles says. Literally, the whole thing. Everything Joey Styles says.
So like,
well, and anytime Francine's out there, like we've got like she's a slut chants and stuff like that, and horror.
Right.
And like, can we do that? Is that going to be allowed?
I mean, and that puts out also like half of like the beginning of Stephanie McMahon's career. Right?
Exactly.
Like,
yes.
most of it,
yes.
right? Like most of her like seriously week to week on screen persona. Was
Yeah.
like, and
we had the Ho train. Can you have that? Is that, I mean,
man.
And then there was the Undertaker crucifixion.
I feel like the crucifixions need to stay.
I don't know that they can stay. Honestly, that would bother me more than the others.
I feel like those need to stay. Personally,
I got a Kurt Anglewood on this one and be like, nope.
I mean, there's been lots of crucifixion angles in wrestling, and all of them have been good. Maybe they can cut the Viagra on a pole match in that whole angle, because it was terrible.
As long as Buff Bagwell's mom stays, then
we can just totally forget 1999 WCW because it's a train wreck. Like, we're just gonna delete that, and we're gonna put Sting in his surfer gear with his blonde hair out, and that'll be fine. Anyway,
but I don't know. I'll be interested to see what happens moving forward. If we stick to things like this that are racially charged and insensitive and things like that, I think that that's probably the right path to go. But if we start getting into editing out these sexually charged things and the violence, as you said, I don't necessarily know that that's a route that is going to sit well with wrestling fans, because it's one thing to take away these two segments in particular, and we'll even throw the DX blackface thing in there, even though during that point in time, that, like we already talked about, that was just what it was. If you eliminate those three things, I think that takes a stance and says, hey, we're just not going to put up with this type of insensitivity. And but everything else, we understand it's a show, and this was a gimmick, and you enjoy your drugs, sex, and rock and roll.
Yeah.
It was a sign of the times. Times are obviously very different. I think you put it very well, Walter and Tom, both. And there's it's a touchy subject. It's rough. It's tough to talk about. And especially coming from our perspective, like you'd already mentioned, that we're not really affected by it. So maybe maybe this is what helps. If this is what helps, settle everything down, and we can all just get being back to making fun of each other in a kind-hearted, good old-fashioned way and move on with our lives. I don't take offense and hold on to things, forever.
They make a DX joke about Mark Henry. Why do your pecs go all the way around to your back? I mean, I guess it's a fat joke. I guess that's kind of insensitive, but at the same time, like he's the strongest man in the world. I mean, I guess that's,
You take away the blackface, that thing is hysterical.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah, you take away the blackface, it's just making fun of them as people, not as like I feel like I wish I wish they could go and recolor that almost. That's kind of how I feel about that. Because it's not like they didn't, they brought up, God, Road Dogg is D'Lo. That's kind of the harsh one. But anyway. Although
I need to go back and rewatch it.
Hopefully Road Dogg's okay. The man had a heart attack the other day. It's not.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's thoughts and prayers with Road Dogg.
Throwing up the
Get
TNP.
All right, gentlemen. So let's shift gears here. Let's talk about WrestleMania 37 real quick. The card's starting to take shape here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to go over night one real quick. So we've got Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. We have Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. We have Bad Bunny with Damian Priest versus The Miz with John Morrison. The New Day defends the tag titles against AJ Styles and Omos. Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon. And Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. Night one got some intriguing matchups there. I'm into it. A couple
Some
of
hot
these.
poop too.
Yeah, some hot poop. I guess by all accounts, this Bad Bunny and Miz match is supposed to be a tag match, but apparently Damian Priest and John Morrison are both nursing some injuries. And yeah, so we're getting this build up to a singles match that has potential to be a tag match.
This sounds even worse the more you speak about it. Like, it was bad to begin with, and then you just they can't even cover and have so Bad Bunny's actually going to try to come out here and wrestle a match.
This is going to be the second worst WrestleMania match.
No.
It will be.
Are you hating Braun Strowman versus Shane that bad?
No.
Is that what you're saying? It's going to be the worst?
No.
Okay.
This is just the second worst.
Because I honestly think Braun and Shane will be all right. Man, Shane shows up for this stuff, and he really does, put in some work. And
Shane's going to die.
yeah, I mean that's what
Braun's
we
going to
tune in
throw him
for.
off something big, and that's going to be fine.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be your freaking trademark spot right there, man. It's dudes beating dudes with other dudes. It's going to be great.
I hope. I'll be very excited if Braun picks up Shane and hits Elias with him. And I think that's potential. And I want to see that. I do. Actually, I hope that Braun hits Elias with Shane, and then Elias falls into like a big bunch of tables or something. So I really
off the pirate ship.
Yeah, off the pirate ship. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah. The tag team title match, the New Day versus AJ Styles and Omos. I think that's going to be fun. Get to see the big man in the ring for the first time. Can't ever go wrong with AJ Styles in the ring. I mean, come on.
AJ versus Kofi this week was great.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I'm worried about what I'm going to see with Omos though, because
No,
this will be his first. Like you're going to premiere. I mean, not premiere. Obviously, he's wrestled matches, but you're coming out of WrestleMania, dude. That's craziness.
And with Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley, like the build up where it's at right now, those two guys should not touch until WrestleMania.
That's one of the things I'm most excited about. Like, this is such a good build. I like all of this so much. This is my favorite feud of like the main titles. This is the best one. As much as I like Edge and Roman, and this is the best one, and this is going to be great. I've really got a lot of high hopes for this match, particularly.
Tom's got high hopes. Sorry,
Cesaro, Seth Rollins. That's going to be a lot of fun too. Can't wait to see that.
That might steal the show.
Now that is going to be a match. Yeah, absolutely, it'll steal the show. I mean, I'd put money on it right now.
That's probably going to steal the show.
Okay, so let's go into night two. So we've got Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, Big E versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship, Crispy Fiend versus Randy Orton, Asuka versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship, and the head of the table, Roman Reigns, takes on Edge and Daniel Bryan in a triple threat match. Night two. Guys, where are we at?
The worst match is going to be this night, but otherwise it's going to be really good.
I I know, like, I was busting your chops in a group message earlier today. Like, you are so low on the Fiend and everything that is surrounding Bray Wyatt and the Fiend right now. Like, it's really killing my vibe, pal. I'm not gonna lie.
This is gonna be like, I don't know how this couldn't be terrible. Truth be told, it's literally going to be the worst. Like, we've seen this already. One, we just haven't seen it with the Fiend being a burnt piece of toast. This is going to be literally the worst thing. It's going to be a pre-taped match. There's going to be magic involved. Alexa's going to probably teleport or something, or transform, or it's going to be real bad. And it's all going to be over the top cheesy. Randy Orton's going to sell it as best as he possibly can because he's Randy Orton. He's really good. Bray Wyatt can't wrestle a good match. Can you think of the best Bray Wyatt match you've ever watched ever? No, because it was boring and wasn't very good.
I've seen some cool, spots though. I'm not gonna lie.
You haven't. From other people, maybe.
No.
Maybe with other people involved, but not from Bray Wyatt.
It's not going to be that bad.
This is going to be. It's not going to be that bad, but it's going to be throwaway garbage, bad TV Raw bad, and it's going to be. With WrestleMania being as stacked as it is, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb, like a crispy sore thumb. And it's just not going to be fun. And I know all the players involved are going to try their best, but this whole thing is just jump the shark. And I will truthfully be very happy for it to be over. And I hope they peel away the crispy carcass of the Fiend after this and let Bray Wyatt do something else, or let the original Fiend come back, or I don't know, free Alexa or something like that. I don't know, but like get this. This needs to twist back into being not supernatural pre-taped, crispy Fiend stuff. It needs to go somewhere else. I was good with it basically until Alexa could transform and teleport. And
guys, this is easily one of the matches I'm looking forward to the most on day 2. I don't get. Man,
I mean, I mean,
the hate
I'll
it just flows from Tom when it comes to Crispy Fiend. I mean, once Alexa shot a fireball, then it was all over.
It was all over once the fireball.
I'll tell you
that
what
was your
all
Fonzie
over
moment.
Was when she pulled out a rocking horse and like teleported on a rocking horse. That's when it was all over. The fireballs were bad. They never got better. The rocking horse was what did it. Oh, no. Do you remember when she transformed a bunch of times, too?
Yeah.
She was, like, in a T-shirt, and then she changed her T-shirt, and her hair was up. And then she was, like, evil Alexa that didn't take damage. And then, like, she was regular Alexa for a hot minute. Like, no, wait, something bad's happening to me. And then, like, the lights went out again. And then she was, like, that's all of that was just, like...
It's storytelling. It's fine. It's better than the same old shit you see every week, It's something different. You know what? It's going to be 100 times better than that.
A lot of bad horror movies.
Shitty match we saw with the worms on the ring and all that. It's got to top that. That's not a good starting point, but I'm just saying, they're giving Fiend and Orton a spot to, make it better.
You know what I think it's going to be better than?
That's
the exploding barbed wire death match.
Yeah. I was going to
probably be better than that.
Better than that.
I won't buy the shirt to this.
So my expectations are it'll probably be better than a Joey Janela match.
Ugh.
It'll probably be better than that exploding barbed wire death match. It'll probably be better than that taped Sting Darby Allin match. However, it will be the worst match of the night by like a million. It'll get like half a star.
You know what match could steal the show?
Huh?
You know what match could steal the show?
Not the one with Edge in it.
Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
That one might steal the show.
Could 1,000,000% steal the show.
It probably will.
Are you reading the card in legitimately the way that it's positioned right now? Like, are they going to
No.
seriously lead off night 2? Okay,
No.
you're just throwing them out there.
I'm just reading them. But
No promotional show.
speaking of speed bumps on the road to WrestleMania, have you fine young gentlemen seen this?
I don't.
I can't.
Oh
Alistair
yeah,
Black.
yeah, Mr.
Oh,
Mr.
okay.
Alistair Black. So he was hurt the whole time.
Yeah, apparently that's what they're telling us, that he's been injured this entire time, dealing with some nagging injuries, and they were trying to let him heal and trying to get him right. Scrolling through his Instagram, I did not follow him on Instagram until yesterday. I don't know why, but I do now. And scrolling through his Instagram over the last 5 to 6 months, it has been not a single post about wrestling. And then all of a sudden, you get that. It's intriguing. It's intriguing.
I mean,
Was there
maybe he's a
anything
private
about
guy.
training, healing, anything? Rehabbing?
Clearly there was heat with his wife, so maybe there was like turmoil. But like, I mean, if he was hurt anyway, I don't know.
I don't know that I'm buying it. He was hurt already, though.
So
Don't you
let's
think
talk.
he'd talk about it?
Let's talk real quick
Not necessarily.
about the possibility of Alistair Black versus Buddy Murphy at WrestleMania. You want to talk about a match that has the potential to steal the show? It is that right there.
That'll be one of the kickoffs for sure.
I was going to say, you watch. They're going to put it on the fucking pre-show.
It can be on the pre-show, and it's going to be the
though.
best match of the fucking weekend.
The point of the pre-show, though, is that it's supposed to get you to buy the pay-per-view, or at least sign up for the thing. So if it's on the free part, it's something you don't have to pay for. Like, that's something that like you could watch and be like, there's no build up to it, there's no storyline to it. But if they just toss them out there and they tear the house down for 10 minutes, you might watch that and go, bye.
Yep.
And that's what they want. I feel like that would be a killer pre-show match. I think that's I hope to see that.
Yeah, I do too. I 100% agree. Let's talk about how good SmackDown was this week. Oh my god.
Be good.
There's backstage. There's backstage segments, man. Whew, way to build that story. My goodness. Phenomenal work on SmackDown this week. Phenomenal work on SmackDown.
Adam Pearce is really good.
Yeah. I'm really starting
moving nicely. Yeah.
I'm really starting to buy him as that authority figure.
His on-screen talent is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's one of the best that I've seen that's been in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of fun. It was an awesome show. Speaking of awesomeness, guys, let's talk match of the week. Some good stuff this week. Made it kind of hard.
A lot of good this week.
I got a dark horse pick though. I'm real excited to talk about it.
I got a white horse pick.
I bet you it's my honorable mention. I'm willing to bet.
Because it's clearly
pick.
It was clearly the match. It was the match of the week by far. So okay, well let me give an honorable mention first, because Sheamus and Bobby Lashley really like just two big dudes just having a like just having a beat down. That's my jam, and I really enjoyed that, and that really put Raw that really put a good taste in my mouth for Raw.
It was
and
sloppy though.
Really good. Really liked it. Liked Drew save at the end. It maybe didn't go long enough. I maybe wanted to watch a little more, but I thought it was good.
I thought it was a little sloppy.
No, I feel like it was like a slobber knocker kind of thing. It was like for me.
Sloppy.
Yeah, for me, I thought they looked really good. That's the best Sheamus has looked in a long time, and I really like Sheamus. But the match of the week clearly was Rollins versus Nakamura. I mean, it's not even it's not even a contest. I mean,
Nakamura tweeted. He said, "Hey, we're gonna keep doing this thing until everybody's happy. So, give me more. Tom, what do you always say? It's the teriyaki on the chicken that I didn't know that I needed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just feed me more. Feed me more of that. I feel like Seth Rollins is right now on a like, hey, I want to work with my buddies run kind of deal. Like he came back, like, hey, I had a baby, but I'm back now. So, well, we don't have anything for you, Seth. Well, okay, that's fine, but like, let me work with Cesaro and let me work with Nakamura and maybe Buddy Murphy and people that like clearly are.
Let me just put out fantastic matches.
Right. Like, let me work with my friends who I talk to and hang out with and work out with every single day of the week. And let us just tear the house down. Give us 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, 8 minutes. We'll put on the best match we possibly can within that period of time. And we're going to have a great time doing it. And then after WrestleMania, split everybody up, put everybody where they need to be. But at this point in time, it's really building up. Like, you don't need to build Seth Rollins anymore. He's clearly like a main event guy. He's a top contender.
He is a top guy.
But, period. I mean, he's the top guy. He's going to be in the title picture wherever he goes post WrestleMania. He was out up until right before WrestleMania and just wasn't factored into the title picture at that point. So it's like, just let me play with my friends and we'll put on good matches. And that's, to me, I feel like that's like, please feed me that. That's what I want. But yeah, this match was phenomenal. It was sort of a rematch from the pay-per-view. That was a great match too. And I'm really excited about Rollins versus Cesaro at WrestleMania. It's not there. There's no losing for me in any of this. Nobody lost. Everybody looks good. Great match. I like that it factors into the story, and I like that they're just kind of letting these guys do whatever. And I feel like do more of that with Seth Rollins. Let him just sort of do whatever with whomever he wants to do. Don't tight script him the way that they have done it, because I feel like that's where people lose him. But I feel like this is the kind of thing that like just makes him the phenomenal performer that he is. And, just keep him with that. I would love to see a WWE title feud between Seth Rollins and Shinsuke Nakamura, maybe even with Nakamura as the champion, truth be told. And then, put everybody else on SmackDown and let these two just, I feel like Nakamura needs a run anyway. With a main title. The man's in his 40s. He's not going too much longer, but I'd like to see just a big feud with maybe Seth Rollins, put Cesaro in there too, mix that up. But no, this to me is the best. It's the best thing that's going on in wrestling right now, and that's what I want to see week in and week out. It's not high flying. It's not spot fest. It's two guys that absolutely know what they're doing and could put on a 5-star match blindfolded, and they knock this one out of the park. And yeah, I'll watch more. Keep me going with that.
It's fair.
Derek.
Oh man, it's way more than fair. I mean, that was easily. It was the match of the week, and I'm not saying that was my pick, because I kind of felt like I needed to shine a little light on AEW.
The show this week that happened,
and I kind of figured at least somebody's got to pick that, because I mean that. Yeah, it was amazing. Seth Rollins, Nakamura, the best. It's nice. It's what we like. But what we had on Wednesday night on Dynamite at 8:05, leading it off the night, we had Matt Sydal versus the best bout machine, the cleaner, Kenny Omega. And guys, I know we have talked some mad shit on Kenny over our time here together, but I am having such a good time watching him at the top right now with Don Callis and the Good Brothers and the crossover. It's brought my attention to Impact. It's changed the way I watch wrestling. Like, it is. I love what they're doing with this. I love the match. Matt Sydal is, Evan Bourne, obviously. He's great. He's been around forever. He knows what the hell he's doing. WWE didn't have anything for him. I don't understand it, but
They had a shooting star press RKO for him.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. That was great.
That's one of the best RKOs ever.
Yeah, that's definitely in everyone's top 5 RKO list.
So listen, I know I've been putting this over in the group message all week, but I watched the Broken Skull sessions with Randy Orton, and he talked about like some of these just ridiculous RKOs. He's like, Steve, these aren't my ideas, man. Like, I got guys coming to me all the time. Oh, I want to take the RKO like this.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, and he was talking about Evan Bourne. He was like, that guy could do the shooting star press. And man, he could just pick a spot. He was like, all I had to do was lay there and go and wait. He's like, it was the easiest part of my night. So definitely a huge RKO moment right there. But so tell us about the match.
The
Jared.
guy can definitely work. He's definitely solid. Like I was saying, it was awesome, man. It was good spots. I don't know. I hate it when you put me on the spot like that. You kill me.
Well, it's not really on the spot, pal. We do match of the week every single week.
Preparation,
Derek.
Preparation.
Yeah. I should work on the notes
pal.
thing.
Goddamn, pal.
Yeah.
You'll have to watch.
I'll do better next time, audience. I'll have to explain the match, I suppose. We'll work on that.
It is.
Go watch it. You don't want me to tell you about it. Go watch it. It's good stuff. Some tope suicidas. It ends with the one-winged angel, of course. Tom's favorite move.
The most unbeatable move in professional wrestling.
Only one person's ever kicked out of it, and it wasn't in AEW.
No, John Moxley kicked out of it.
No, that doesn't count.
No, it counts.
No.
I tried to get him. He wasn't. He's not taking the bait.
Poop.
Okay, I'll move on. My match of the week. My honorable mention was Shinsuke and Rollins. I mean, obviously, don't get much better than those two. Now, mind you, that was in the fourth segment. That was the kickoff match of SmackDown in the fourth segment. Let's just put a little bit on that 3-segment fucking opening promo for the Universal Championship stuff.
That was fun.
Yeah.
It was fine. That part was a little confusing because Daniel Bryan literally was like out there like, I deserve this and I deserve that and then Edge came out and was like, I won the Royal Rumble. I did this. I beat you. I beat Roman Reigns. I beat, he was just like Roman beat you. You can't beat Jey Uso. And it was like everything Edge said was true. And then so Daniel Bryan fights Edge because Edge was spitting truth at him. And then Edge beat the crap out of Daniel Bryan. I don't know. Those segments were bad, but this match was anyway.
Why is Daniel Bryan trying to be a baby heel? Like it's stupid.
Baby heel. He's pulling an Edge on Edge, pal.
A little bit.
Just a side note though, this whole little unhinged rated R superstar thing, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Edge is a heel in this, I think.
Yes.
I think it's heel face.
Yes.
I just don't think they've built Daniel Bryan to be the right face, and I don't think Edge is a good baby face, and I think the more that I've watched this, I think that's why they added Daniel Bryan to this match, is because they're like, Edge is a despicable human being. We can't really let him be a baby face here. Say that every week. Yeah. That's how it's got to be.
My match of the week was on NXT. One Jordan Devlin versus Kushida.
I knew you were going to pick this one. It was.
Oh,
good.
you did now.
I did.
It was a good match. Honestly, I'd considered it as my own as well. It was really good. I'm down with that.
It had a little bit of everything, man. You're kind of just putting Jordan Devlin in front of the U.S. audience here for the first time in X amount of months to kind of go out and say, hey, I'm still here. I still exist, and I'm still really good at this. And you put him out there with somebody like Kushida who can play his game, can go out, and it was high flying. It was hard hitting. There was some technical spots. It had a nice fast pace. Overall, it was just a fun little match to watch. I really enjoyed, the fact that those two went out there. They mixed it up. They got in the ring. There's nothing to live up to. It's not a blow off. It's not anything. It's just a throwaway match. But they went out there and they put together a solid effort. And then, you get the payoff at the end with HBK coming out and sliding the ladder up in between him and Escobar. Hey, this is how we solved this issue back in my day, pal. I think that this is a route you two may want to take. And quite frankly, I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch Jordan Devlin and Santos Escobar in a ladder match at TakeOver. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to that one. I know that I've been singing the praises of Santos Escobar for a couple of months, and I see something that you guys don't necessarily see, which is fine. But I think it's going to be fun, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. I think Jordan Devlin's going to win, but because he is the right guy for that spot. But we'll see what happens.
It was a good match. I'm not going to argue you on that.
No,
I actually thought it was a really good match, and I kind of have considered it too. And I'm like, Walt's going to pick the Kushida match, and I'm like, it's also kind of like, I don't know. I feel like Kushida's a little too sloppy for me. Like he's just a little too excited. He kind of goes a little crazy.
I think like where he's at right now, he's always just going to be a solid dance partner. He's not going to be the number one guy yet. He's not there yet.
No.
He needs to clean some of that stuff up, but he's always going to be a solid draw for somebody. He's going to go out and he's going to get his shit in, and and I'm not saying that in a negative way. Like he's just going to go out, he's going to get his shit in, and he's going to help make that match something special. And he does a good job.
I feel like he needs to clean up, and I feel like he needs a better gimmick. And
yeah.
Those are the two things.
He's done well with what he's been given, though. I mean, the poor guy. He's got nothing to work with. What's he supposed to do? He checks the time or whatever. And then...
You tell me he didn't pick that? Like nobody else was like he was. Yeah,
I think that was his gimmick in Japan, pal.
I was saying that's kind of what he was doing in Japan. So I'm not. That's he's saddled with what he made his bed. He's sleeping in it, and I just think he needs some sort of a like Americanized gimmick because I feel like this gimmick is a little too nonsense to be mainstream. Like you're right. It's fine. He's good. Put him in a match with somebody. He can get a good match going. It doesn't seem to be hard to have a good match with Kushida. I don't know that Kushida's ever the standout performer of the match, but it seems like if you can find a guy who can have a good match, you put him with Kushida, and that's a good match. And clearly Jordan Devlin is a guy that can have a good match, but it seemed to me that Jordan Devlin is just a cleaner, more like well-rounded, just more cut kind of like wrestler. He's ready for prime time. He doesn't need to clean up the rough edges. He doesn't have rough edges. He's ready for prime time. And, you put him with Kushida, and I think they put on a good match. But at the same time, to me, it sort of showed the drastic, difference between somebody like Kushida, who still has too many rough edges and kind of a bad gimmick, and somebody like Jordan Devlin, who's just straight up like, I'm a good wrestler. Here I go. Jordan Devlin might need some more gimmick, but I think he's on his way.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, gentlemen. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Guys, if you're not following us on social media, please hop over to the Twitter machine, the old Instagram. Give us a follow at @1_fall WC. That's ONE. We would greatly appreciate that. Check us out on YouTube. Obviously, if you're watching us on YouTube, you know that we exist. Please like and subscribe. Feel free to leave some comments too, whether you like it or you don't. We'll engage with you. We promise. And check out the new video I'm getting ready to post here, that I posted today on the old YouTube. It's a little snippet of our conversation about the Usos last week. So check that out. We kind of put the Usos over. So, guys, we good here?
We are good. Good show. A little disjointed. Well, you've got some work to do, but I
do have a little bit of work to do, but that's okay. That's okay. Right. Well, with all that being said, thanks for hanging out. It's all love. We'll catch you next week. One Fall WrestleCast.
Peace out, peoples.